After getting out of that new RS3 and all of its ADHD antics, a part of me just wanted to settle down into something more subtle and stealthy. You know, a car that takes that adrenaline and high stakes from the IROZ Motorsport world of drag racing and record setting, but injected into a familiar package that might still have a chance of flying under the radar. Something I could make a getaway in. Not sure from what, but I'm bound to find it out here. Wow, immediately something that I had not noticed yesterday when I filmed the brand new 8Y, the seating position in this car feels a lot taller. I can't get as low in this car, which is not a good thing. Oh my God. All right, so that is not stock. That sound you're hearing is absolutely not stock. This has been drilled into a little bit, you might say, by IROZ here in Nevada. And this build is just a taste of what you may have been inspired by in IROZ's racing past and their history and the records they've set and how far they've built the 2.5 5-cylinder. This engine's been around a long time, so they have their feet wet, and what they've built here has been tried and tested, but I had to find out for myself, so that's why we've come out for a drive today. Of course, the new car just came out, the 8Y. If you haven't seen my video on that, I just got out of that car not 2 minutes ago. Great, amazing car. Please check it out if you haven't already. But this car is a different beast. The goal with this build is to get as much out of this engine as possible without touching the bottom end. When you hit a certain point, you're going to be running into issues with torque and load, and therefore rods and whatever other components in the bottom end that are going to be the first to break when you begin pushing that torque figure. So this one specifically has been tuned at a 500 pound-foot threshold for torque. But even with that torque limitation, we still come out with around 680 wheel horsepower with this setup. Again, guys, this is all stock bottom end. Keep that in mind for when we run the quarter mile later in the video. Really quick with the 7-speed dual clutch to keep up. Not a stock turbo, so we're gonna go over a few of the parts over at IROZ. Should we do a launch? We're gonna do a launch. That's how quickly I can ask and answer myself questions when driving a 700 horsepower vehicle here. Wow. That is huge. I don't really notice a huge difference first to second. Like, the launches feel very similar, this car to the red car. It's not until you get second, third, fourth, then do you just feel simply how ridiculously fast this car is. But big components here you need to know right out of the gate. It's got a hybrid turbo, minimal back pressure, quick spool time, maximum efficiency, close enough to stock feeling spool here, but still giving you huge power gains. And then of course all the supporting mods to go with it. Turbo inlet, it's got a Unitronic downpipe, it's got a Unitronic flex sensor as well. So in terms of fuel, hold on, straight away. That's 15 miles an hour. Like it's nothing. Now, big brakes on the RS3, not nearly as much confidence in this car as with the new 8Y. But let's get back to fuel. So it's running a flex sensor right now. We're at an ethanol content of about 76%. And now that's done with IROZ and their 850cc injectors. That's running at 3 bar for those. Stock fuel pump though, stock fuel lines Intercooler's been done here, the 1,000 core intercooler, which is good from here up until about 1,000 horsepower. So you have huge headroom here still to go if you do want to build the engine down the road. That hybrid turbo, the intake, and you know, a couple catch cans and overflows here and there, and that's about it. Now, the clutches in the transmission have not been done here. This is a stock transmission. That's also another one of the reasons why they kept the torque figure set down to about 500 pound-foot here, because then it is still manageable and they have the confidence there that they're not going to kill any components in the chase for longevity. And that's a funny way to put it, because longevity isn't something you chase, it's something that comes to you slowly but surely, right? So, I mean, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, the dual clutch in this car is no PDK, it's no Ferrari dual clutch. There's a bit of a delay. I would say in terms of speed and how quick the shifts are, this is really close to a really well-tuned ZF8 speed in some of the M cars, and those aren't dual clutches, so that speaks volumes more actually to those transmissions than this one. But it performs way better at the high speed, high load scenarios, high throttle input scenarios. Off the line, it rolls a little bit. If you're on a hill, reversing, it'll roll back and forth. So there's a little bit of play there, and that's why I say the dual clutch really shines at higher speed stuff. Thank you for having us out.
Yeah, you bet.
Really appreciate this.
So I always know a true enthusiast because they walk into my shop and they see like R8s and they see TTRSs and RS3s, but the gravitation usually with car guys, they know the Quattro and they want to see the Quattro, and that's you as well.
This is the first time I've ever seen a Quattro in person.
Yeah. And
it did spark my interest. Of course, R8s, and this is something maybe we don't need to dive into on this video, but of course the new R8s, dual clutch, Huracan, they've become like the Civic of the supercar world. Yeah. Did it truly begin along these lines, or was it the modern stuff that hooked you?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, this is my roots. You know, and I'm kind of like that demographic that probably gets super excited and about old rally cars. Like you mentioned, the R8 being the Civic of the supercar world. I've probably had more conversations at gas stations with this car than my R8. Just because, and it's usually the same demographic. It's like nerdy 35, 40-year-olds that grew up when Group B was getting after it. Yes. But this is an 81, which is the first year of the Quattro. They didn't import them into North America until 83. Just a car collector in Reno, Nevada had to have this Quattro. So he imported it. I got like a huge stack of papers with it. Okay. He paid more for this than he paid for the Testarossa that's in his collection. Yeah, like growing up, this is just what I wanted. My dad skied a bunch, was a huge skier, and he loved to chase storms. And so like there'd be a huge dump in Salt Lake or in Reno or Mammoth Mountain, and it's jump in the Quattro. Like back then you were either in a Subaru, yes, or a really big clunky truck that you couldn't do 80, 90 miles an hour on the way up to catch a storm. And so, you know, I got kind of pulled into those old Audi 5000s and Audi 4000s. Yes. But this was like always the holy grail. They were just so rare. I think, you know, they didn't bring them to the country, but I want to say there's less than 10 of these 81s in the country right now. Wow. And then the whole run group, they only sent over, I think it was sub 1,000. So there's not a whole lot of them. Yeah. It really like made my love for the 5-cylinder. Like we never dreamed that we would do RS3 work or anything like that. It was like the business model was actually to build parts for these. We just kind of got lucky that Audi decided to put a 5-cylinder back in cars. Yes. And we were so familiar and so well known in that 5-cylinder world that it transitioned pretty well. I mean, the cliche thing to say would be, hey, it's a modern 2J. Right. As we're seeing, I mean, I walked up to the dyno earlier with the TT,
1100 horsepower, like Adam was saying in his video, just casually showing up on these cars, right?
You know, people see Audi now and think that there's just this brand that's been monstrous forever. When I was a kid, you didn't see Audis at all.
Yeah.
Volkswagen was strong, but Audi always struggled. So, you know, that's really kind of what started it all, is these 5 cylinders that are longitudinally mounted. And, you know, we needed solutions for more fuel, and I got really bit by the turbo bug.
Of course.
And, you know, that drove me to learn how to weld so I could make manifolds. And then I needed parts to upgrade other parts. It drove me to learn how to do CNC programs, and made me really want to go to engineering school and get a degree in engineering. And I tell this to people all the time that, like, I wish I could make money making vintage parts, but it's just hard. There's not very many cars, and these cars are worth way more stock now. Like, I kind of kick myself for putting a 1,000 horsepower motor in this car. So.
It sounds ridiculous. I was not expecting it. I could smell the corn as soon as it fired up.
Yeah, huge cams, yeah. I realized that the Jetta, like, have you ever seen a Jetta with a 2.5 emblem on the back? That's a very similar engine to what's in the Mark II TTRS, the original TTRS. And so I looked at it one day, and I had heard that the bolt pattern was very similar to the old ones, and I realized that you could bolt that engine up to an O1E transaxle, which is what's in here. And so we did. So that's what's in this car. So it's not the original 5-cylinder. This has like the Jetta. No
way. Okay,
yeah, so like
wow.
this isn't a belt-driven motor like.
That's ridiculous.
Like the 20 valve. I mean, it's still a 20 valve, but this is a Jetta motor.
Yeah.
With a lot of TTRS parts mixed in, but you know, making parts like this is kind of how I got through college.
This is beautiful.
And then, you know, we just got super lucky because then Audi decided to put this engine into the RS3, you know, flipped.
Yes. With
an aluminum block, and you know, the rest is history. But a lot of business is just getting lucky, and I got super lucky that Audi decided to use the 5-cylinder again. It's worth way more money if it was stock, but here we are.
I was just gonna ask, do you regret doing all of this now? But of course, hindsight, you can never tell what car values are gonna do in the future.
It's so tough because, like, have you driven a 160 horsepower car recently? Like, that is really slow.
No, but I have, yeah.
Like, yes. I appreciate them for what they are. I don't really want to own one. Like, I don't think I'd enjoy this car very much at 160 horsepower.
Yeah, it would have to be cutthroat, loose surface.
Yeah, you know? Like, you can hardly get it to chirp the tires, but... Now,
do you drive this at all?
Not as much as I used to. No, I mean, there was a time where this was my daily in college.
Wow. Well, thanks for having us out.
Yeah, you bet.
This is awesome. Thank you guys for watching. This has been huge. So let's go for a drive, and yeah, that's about it. All right, you guys, 750 kit. Here we go. Real world performance data testing. It's not often I get to do this, but Adam from VancityAudi has brought out his race box. So we're gonna get a 0 to 60 and hopefully a quarter mile time today on a closed course, of course. It'll shift 1 to 2 by itself, and then from there I'm in manual mode, so it's all up to me not to hit the rev limiter because it will let me do that. I feel like it's going to be a little bit of front wheel spin just because we don't have that new rear diff that the 8Y has.
60 feet time, 1.62 seconds. 0 to 60 miles per hour time, 2.53 seconds. 60 to 130 miles per hour time, 7.54 seconds.
All right, well, I hit rev limiter there, so that was a botched run. We'll do it one more time.
60 feet time, 1.65 seconds.
There we go.
0 to 60 miles per hour time, 2.56 seconds. 60 to 130 miles per hour time, 7.98 seconds. Quarter mile time, 10.57 seconds.
All right, that was a good run. Quarter mile in 10.5. This thing is violent. 60 to 130 miles an hour in 7.98 seconds. This morning, Adam was able to run a 10.2 in this car at, I believe, 137 miles an hour. Incredibly quick. A little bit more of a delay in throttle response when it comes to the turbo than the 8Y, but it is very close to factory spool. Where you do notice it is at the top end. There's just such an incredible gap between this car and even the JB4 tuned 8Y. in terms of top end power. It's the fit and finish of the ride and the confidence at speed. There's a lot less confidence at speed here than there is in the new car. But a few things I do like better: the brushed aluminum look down here by the shifter. It looks a lot better than the gloss black. The HVAC hasn't changed too much. It's simplified in the new car, which I appreciate. I hate the tacked on kind of iPad look here. You know, IROZ is very much, they're a product of their environment. Wow, Ferrari 812, hello. We're going to do another launch here. Wow, right up to 7,900 RPM. This feels like what a factory RS product should be. It's basically keeping up now with the quickest of the quick four-door stuff in any brand new car, really. And this car is at this point 7 years old, so yeah. We've torture tested them this entire weekend. We've put them through their paces. Thank you so much, Hank, Nick, and everybody else at IROZ for giving us this opportunity. Thanks, Adam from VancityAudi. Yeah, thank you for the invite. And pretty crazy, as you guys know, I have not been out really outside of Canada shooting any videos since 2019, other than Washington, Seattle, just for a couple quick ones. It's an entirely different environment getting out here in the desert. It feels like, at least, true kind of hot weather testing. So it's been a lot of fun. The guys have been incredibly hospitable to us, and yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better trip, and I hope you guys enjoyed the videos. As you guys can see behind me, I'm about to do a quick POV video just for the sounds in the 8Y as well, and that'll come out in a couple of days. So until next time, you guys, subscribe. Everybody's links will be in the description. We'll see you soon.